at LNBITS, which is a project we started, I think it was 2018, because it was kind of clear to people actually building stuff on Lightning that most people couldn't be bothered setting up a node and running a node, and they just wanted to build stuff. Like me, I just want to build stuff. And one of the things I was building at that time was a Lightning point of sale, which we managed to get into this bar in Berlin called Room 77, and they were using it, and it worked. But then the problem was I needed 5 different versions of that project. I needed one for Core Lightning, I needed one for LND, I needed one for people who wanted to use OpenNode, one for LMPay, one for LNTXbot. So I needed all these different versions of that POS, making all these different API calls, and it was just time-consuming and annoying. So I wanted a middleware API I could build for, and then underneath that, we could fund it with whatever. So the idea of LNBITS was a simple wallet account system where it has, each wallet has its own API keys, and then I can just develop for that for my projects, just to make life easier. The other thing which we needed as well was, I'm not showing screen, am I? The other thing we needed as well was an account system. So at that point, nodes, you couldn't separate funds. So I built an ATM, and it meant that my ATM had to have my admin macaroon so it could spend funds. So if someone got into the ATM, they could take my admin macaroon. And then it's similar for other projects, software projects building on top of nodes, you're exposing keys. So it also made sense to be able to split funds up, so I could have a wallet just for the ATM. Let me share the screen. So yeah, so it was kind of born out of hardware projects and then necessity of building stuff, and that was a good process because it's not coming through. Oh, there we are. Because I was able to key in with that maker community working on Lightning projects and working in Bitcoin, and we were all having similar issues and similar problems. And the way in which I did that was primarily as I went to these Lightning Hack Days, which Fulmer was organizing, and I got to meet a whole bunch of amazing developers. And a lot of them would develop these little fun projects, like a jukebox or something, which could connect to your Lightning node and use the Spotify API so people could use your a Spotify playlist to pay for songs and then have them play on a device. But that then was its own separate project with its own repo, and you'd have to download the project and install it and blah, blah. So we were all building these little projects, which are little added layers of functionality. And I thought, why not have a WordPress type model where you have a very simple thing, and this is why WordPress is, we all know WordPress isn't the best software in the world, but you have you start with a very simple system, and then you extend it in any direction which is relevant to you, and it's going to be different for different people. So the idea was we have a simple wallet account system where you could, develop for its API, but then you would also have this extension framework where you can develop these little extensions and then share them with people. And then we try and make that as easy as possible. Yes, we've been, it was a free and open source project from 2018, and then really development started ramping up a couple of years ago. So it went from being just this buggy software, which I would tell people not to use, to being software which is less buggy and almost out of beta, maybe 6 months. So there's a couple of ways in which you can run LNBITS. If you go to the repo, then you can just go to the install guide, and then you can install it. We use Python in the back end, fast API, and we use Poetry as an install for managing packages. And then the front end, we're developing using Quasar, which is a Vue.js framework. We make developing really easy. So you can install, just run a bunch of commands in terminal, and then you can install LNBITS. We've got other options like Nix. Our Nix install is broken, but the future of LNBITS will be us developing to Nix. But currently, we're moving so fast, every time we make it work with Nix, we break it within a few commits. But that will be our quality standard. And then also, it presents LNBITS with some really interesting future use cases, which I might as well rant about now in case I forget. So we will develop to Nix, and LNBITS as a UI. You could have it sitting on top of your node, and then we were thinking, well, you've got Nix Bitcoin, which is this incredible project with all these Bitcoin packages which are being maintained and work with Nix. So it's not that hard. I mean, like a Nix config file, you just, editing a Nix config file, it's not that hard to have a whole system where we could actually install some applications like BTC Pay Server or RTL as Nix packages. So at some point, we will add a UI, just like one-page UI, where you can actually install some. So then it becomes a fully free and open source node management UI as well, which is kind of cool. And on that note, no. So there's, I mean, you can do Docker as well. Some people do Docker. This fly.io thing is really good for installing it. Soon we'll have like, a Python package, so you can just like pip install it at some point. But if you can't be bothered doing any of that, you can, the point of LNBITS is it's a Lightning Wallet account system, which you can use for yourself, you can use for friends or family, or you can make available to the whole world. So this was the other motivation for starting LNBITS, was a lot of people using custodial services like OpenNode, LNPay, and it was like, well, how do we decentralize custodianship? How do we make it easy? If you are your own bank, can you not offer banking services to your friends and family? And can you not allow them to use, if they're going to use a custodial service, better that they use your one as opposed to some company's custodial service. So, so you can install it through just regular installers, or if you want to just play around with it, you can use, now I'm hoping this will work because we actually just broke our demo server. Half an hour before the talk, we were like, oh, maybe we should restart the demo server and mess around with channels. And it wasn't a particularly good idea, but this should work. If you go, we have a SaaS, so you can spin up LNBITS. So it's a bit like that WordPress analogy again. You have WordPress.org, you can go run it yourself on a VPS. And then you have WordPress.com where you can go and just spin it up easily if you want to. So we have a cluster where, so you can go to WordPress.com, and then we can just put in some random email, password. Will this work? Let me see. And then you can sign up. And then you can launch instances from here. So if I click on new instance, now this is my fear, that the SaaS is using our demo server to make the payments. So that may not in fact work, which means I'll need to run it locally, which is also okay. I can demo it locally. So as our SaaS, you pay for the SaaS, and the payment goes to our demo LNBITS server, and we've broken that, so I can't actually show you the SaaS, which is a real shame because it's super sick. It's 21 sats an hour, and it takes about 2 minutes to provision. So maybe later try and do that. For now, I can. This is our demo server struggling to crunch through all the pending payments which have been spammed, but I could just spin it up locally because I have it running here, which will mean we won't be able to do some things. Wait, what branch am I on? Yeah, I'm on main, there we are. I haven't messed about with it, I don't think. Right, so this is, if you're running it on a VPS, this is what you'll see. And then you have a URL, which you can open. And this is for the admin backend. Now, we haven't got the admin user. This is like the super user. Currently, we get that. It's stored in as a file called super user. And now we can take that. Ooh. Okay. And then pop it in there. Oh, silly me. Yeah. So I'm showing you the more complicated way of doing it. It would have been nice if I could have showed you in the SaaS. Maybe during the demo, the demo server will come back to life, let's hope. Okay, so this is the admin backend. So when you first install LNBITS, right, if people go to your LNBITS install, this is what they'll see. And they can generate and create a wallet, and they can start using your LNBITS install. As I said, each one of these wallets has their own API keys, and we can create as many wallets as we want, and get as many users as we want at this point. And then we can install extensions over here.
It's not connected to any Lightning node yet, right?
Well, I mean, so this on my local computer, it probably is connected to something. So let's go and have a look at that. Yeah, exactly. So we've spun up LNBITS, but it's not connected to anything currently. Well, mine probably is now, but we'll assume that it's not connected to anything. So in this, the admin super user backend, you get an extra menu item here, which is manage server. You can theme like your LNBITS install with whichever theme you want to use, and we also have that sort of stuff, and we've got translation as well. So currently it's using something called Fake Wallet, which is a very cool little bit of software actually. So we have all these funding sources we can connect to, But I wanted for testing, I just wanted to have like a fake Lightning node. So we've just got this little script which just creates fake invoices. But it was funny because I proposed it. I was like, can we make this like fake node which can just generate invoices for testing stuff? And there was a bunch of like, legit Lightning developers who were like, no, you can't do that. And then Stepan Steigerev helped me and he made that. And actually, I think that was partly the basis for Cashew as well, which is he used the fake wallet funding source. So yeah, so currently we're using fake wallet, which will generate an invoice, but you can't pay that invoice because obviously it's not on the Lightning network. You can only pay it from the same LNBITS install, which actually, there's some interesting use cases for that. As I'm a super user, I can like turn that money printer on. There we are. And now I can paste that invoice in there and then read and pay it. And then my other users should get the sats. So yeah, this is a completely separate LNBITS install now, and essentially it's made its own shitcoin. And if you were just using this LNBITS install, you could just use it internally as an internal payment server. I was actually thinking, all these people like these Bitcoiners, and they want to educate kids on Bitcoin in schools, and they go into schools all crazy-eyed and say, can I teach your kids about Bitcoin? And the teachers are like, no, you're crazy. Well, like a lot of schools, they have internal payment servers, so kids can pay for their school dinners using little fobs. And they're missing a trick. Like they could be teaching their kids like applied financial literacy. So you could take LNBITS with fake wallet, create a school shitcoin, right? We actually have the ability to change this, so you could change the denomination into school shitcoin. And then the kids could use fobs. They could use LNURL like bulk cards, and they could go pay for their dinners. They could use, like, we have these hardware projects, like a Bitcoin Switch project, where you could turn anything on with Bitcoin, that's developed for LNBITS. So the vending machine could also use, the school shitcoin as well. It wouldn't work anywhere else except within that school, but I just think it's an interesting idea to use LNBITS in a way where it's not actually engaging with Bitcoin at all. And then you have these teachers and the school teaching the kids about Bitcoin, essentially, but they don't know that they're teaching the kids about Bitcoin, like what Bitcoin's capable of. And then maybe some kid, like as a project for one of their school projects, they make a new extension for their school. And then we can then use that in Bitcoin land. So I think it's kind of an interesting idea for maybe using like some of the software in a way which isn't directly connected to Bitcoin. Co-working space would be good too. Maybe like an event like be like a conference, not a Bitcoin conference, obviously, or a music festival, whatever. Anyway, so fake wallet. It's a highly underexplored, cool little bit of technology. But we're going to connect it to an actual funding source, shall we? And this is where I'm going to dox my Telegram API keys, right, which you're not supposed to share with anyone, so don't look. And I'm using, so this is LNTips, which is a Telegram Lightning wallet, and it has its API key. So I have funds in here, it has an API key. So I can fund my LNBITS install with LNTips instead of a node. So if I go to LNTips wallet here, I can just stick my admin key in there. I can save it. And then I think I need to restart the server probably. Let's try restarting the server. And now it will be using Lightning Tips as a funding source, which means we should be able to generate actual, real invoices. Let's see. Let's see if it's restarted. There we go. Fast. Let's see if I can pay that. Thank you, Rockstar. You're welcome. So there we are. So now we're using LNTips here to send and receive invoices. I think, actually, kind of felt a little bit too fast. Let me go back to manage server. I feel like, oh no, that's why. I changed the funding source here, but I haven't actually changed it here, which is what I always do. So you have to click on it here, save, and then that's when we restart. Okay. In this managed server backend, you can set like a fee reserve, which is, there's some attacks which come with being able to completely deplete a wallet. So you might want to keep a certain amount of funds in the wallet. Yeah, users. So you can manage your users. You can create more admin users. A general admin user doesn't have access to some of the super user stuff, but they got access to some admin things. An allowed user list. So this is where now instead of us making our LNBITS install available to the world, we can make our LNBITS install available to just our friends and family or company or whatever. Or, so one of LNBITS' powerful use cases, and it's in fact how LNTIPS, because LNTIPS is actually built on top of LNBITS, you put it in your stack. So yeah, we're using LNBITS now through its UI, which is all nice. But if you go to docs, you'll see we have a really nice Swagger documentation. Everything's documented, all these endpoints. So this is core, this is LNBITS core, and we have one extension installed, which is TPOS, and you can see that extension now has these API endpoints which are available to us to develop for. What that means, having these extensions with APIs, is if someone contributes a new extension, right, then if you're using it in your stack, like LNTIPS is, they can now offer that functionality to their users. So something which there's a couple of extensions for fiat on and off ramps. If one of them is good enough and the API is there, and a service which is using LNBITS in its stack, it can then offer fiat on and off ramps. It's pretty cool. Originally, when LNBITS was a bit shit and we were just sort of faking it, all the extensions were just packaged in with LNBITS. And then you would enable it, and it would just be enabling the software. Vladstan, one of our contributors, actually made it so they're now installed. So an extension has a repo where it's managed. They create a release. They PR a list of extensions which we vet on the LNBITS side. And then if we let it pass the checks, if it's not doing anything corrupt, then we make it available on that list, which this LNBITS install is pulling. So now all those extensions are available, and they've kind of been vetted. So let's have a look at the Nostar Relay extension. I'll install that. That's a good one to start with. So this is actually going to install it from the repository. Actually, I think I might have even picked the one extension which doesn't have API. Oh, no, it has got API endpoints. So now if I refresh my Swagger docs and then go down, oh no, yeah, it's the one extension which doesn't have API endpoints. Okay, so I'll go for, what should we go for? We'll go for, oh, I know, bolts. So for those of you who don't know, bolts is an incredible trustless submarine swap application where you can, free and open source, completely free and open source, you can run it yourself as a service if you want to. And within it, you can swap out from on-chain to Lightning. And it's actually really useful, like if you're managing channels and your channels become lopsided, you can like loop out funds to on-chain and then create some inbound. Right, so if I enable bolts, and actually for most people who want to use this sort of system in somewhere like Europe or US, if you're shilling it's like a cafe or a bar, the likelihood is that the person who runs that cafe or bar, they don't want loads of like Bitcoin on Lightning, like millions and millions of Bitcoin on Lightning. They want to like accumulate Bitcoin and then store it somewhere securely, which we can do by having this bolts extension. So if we imagine that we have a cafe owner, and oh no, this is got, oh look at that, I've got a new version of this extension installed on here. It might be worth, which probably won't work, so it might be worth me uninstalling it and then reinstalling the normal version. So as I said, we have a vetted list of extensions, but obviously, like, of course, you should be able to install whatever you want on your server. So you can go into server here, and then you can add different manifests, extension manifests. Each extension in their repo has their own manifest, like the POS has its own manifest. So you can just install that, or you can have like a list of extensions, and you can like manage those extensions. So this is the list which we curate of extensions, and they're all like hashed to make sure we've checked that specific release. So much to talk about. Right, so yeah, so we're going to try and install because I was working on this POS extension, so we'll try and uninstall that, and then we'll try and install the version, the normal version. Yeah, clean up database, get rid of that. So that should delete the database as well. Oh, nice, security feature here. Yes, very good. So if I go to extensions and then install TPOS again, I'll show you that, because it's a really nice combination of using the point of sale and bolts for onboarding your traditional European or US or wherever, like where they haven't got a circular economy, they want to accumulate Bitcoin. Right, so we have TPOS. Oh, hey. Oh, what happened there? Okay. Okay, we're in. Right, so we'll call it the cafe. And like my local cafe, the guy, he likes Bitcoin, but for years I didn't tell him what the software I was working on until it was ready, till we had this Pulse extension, because I think it's the missing piece for someone like that. So this is weird, isn't it? Oh, we've got an SQL, we've got an error. I think it's me, like, because I was working on a new version of this extension, and I think that I've like messed up a database somewhere, and it's trying to use the old database or something, which is kind of annoying. Let me see if the, oh no, let's have a little look. Let's have a little live debug, shall we? Yeah, this is me. I've deleted the old table, and it's using the old table. So you wouldn't have this. This is why you shouldn't install some random sketchy extension, just like WordPress, because it might break your WordPress and it might break your LNBITS. So I would have to go in and just delete that entire database, because I installed my own sketchy extension right there. We could check to see if the demo server's up and running yet. No. And I could show you on there. Anyway, so the idea is, so you have in fact, no, I won't. I'd have to delete the database and start again, which I'm not going to do. So it's just a simple point of sale, software point of sale, where you can do NFC payments. Works really nice on Android, works really nice on Android POS. And it's denominated in fiat, and it also has a QR code, so you can actually, because it's an air gap software point of sale. So what my guy has in his cafe, although he can't accept Bitcoin payments now because he's using our demo server, is a QR code, and then if anyone comes in, his regular normal workers, they scan the QR code, it gets the POS up, they can input a price in British pound, and then it converts to sats, generate a Lightning invoice, someone pays it, then all those funds accumulate in his LNBITS wallet, and then we have Bolt set up, so we have an auto Lightning to on-chain swap, and we just say, keep an eye on this wallet, and when it gets to 1 million sats, loop out to wherever, some on-chain address. It could be, an exchange account, on-chain address generated by Kraken or something, or you could use a PSBT, or have it go to a hardware wallet. So yeah, I'll show you one of the other extensions. The other extension which he uses, which is the on-chain wallet extension. Now, Vladstan, who made it so we actually install these extensions from repos. He also we had a watch-only wallet extension which I made where you could give it PSBT and generate addresses, but he bootstrapped it now. So he was a Bitcoin.js developer before he was working on LNBITS. So now it's like the on-chain wallet extension is really nice. Like you can give it a PSBT, generate addresses. Now we've got this enabled. If we go to docs, we'll see that the API endpoints are available. So other extensions can now accept, if we gave that a PSBT, other extensions can now generate on-chain addresses as well as Lightning addresses. So there's this thing where extensions can start to talk to each other. If I go into my Swagger docs now, I just need to do a hard refresh here. I don't know why it's doing that. Bizarre. Then you should see, but I'm not sure why it's not doing it. You should now then see, oh, I know why it might be. No, it should be there. You should see the API endpoints which you can make use of. But yeah, I'm not sure. This is my local version of LNBITS, so there's bound to be a few bugs there. For this as well, we also developed because my cafe guy, I wanted a hardware wallet which was so cheap, I could just give it to him and say, look, manage your on-chain funds here. I know that's really sketchy, and you should never do that. You should never use someone else's hardware wallet they've given you. But I want it to be cheap enough that, if it's for negligible amounts, maybe a couple of grand or something, then he could manage it with this on-chain wallet, this on-chain hardware wallet, which is using a very cheap microcontroller. So it's just this one which we use this for our point of sale. This one is $10. And we can flash it with hardware wallet software, and then we can start using it with this extension. And there's two ways in which you can use it, actually, the hardware wallet project. In fact, I'll get that up. Again, like LNBITS is the most ADHD project in Bitcoin. So it's like this. So it's really hard to present because you're like, oh, and there's this thing, and does this other thing, and that other thing it does as well. I just have to show you as I think of them, or else I'll just forget and I won't get to show you. So this is the hardware wallet splash page. You can go to the GitHub and check it out. It's actually just a wrapper. for uBitcoin, which is Stepan Snigarev's Arduino library for doing Bitcoin stuff. He's the developer of Spectre, and about as legit a developer as you're going to get, really. So you can go look at the repo there and check out the code. It's good code. You can compile it from source and everything. You can install it through an IDE like Platform.io or Arduino IDE. But we're going to install it through the browser. So Chrome supports a protocol called Web Serial. And with Web Serial, we can actually send binaries to this device and communicate to this device just through the browser and through USB. Now, for my cafe guy, that's OK. And he doesn't want anything more complex. But if we put this little microcontroller in here, the company who made the hat, this little POS hat, so basically we had a POS and we were just using this microcontroller. And then I emailed the company and I was like, look, loads of people love this hardware. Like, can we have a hat for it? There's definitely a demand. So they manufactured a hat for it. And they said, is there anything else you want on the hat? And I was like, yeah, an SD card slot. So we got an SD card slot. And that was so we could turn this into kind of a cold card. So you can also use the hardware wallet. If you want to be a little bit more secure, you can use it in a air-gapped way, like a cold card. And then you can pass commands via the SD card. And then use it in a stateless way too. But for us, we're going to use a simple. We're going to generate an address on. We're going to generate keys on here, and then, all right. So I'm going to plug that in. I'm going to hope that there's a data line between this little adapter and. Oh, there should be, shouldn't there? Because there's yeah, of course, because it's going that way. Right. So at the moment, I've got the POS software installed on here. But now, if I go to Flash, there we are, and then I select that microcontroller.
So that's ESP32?
Yeah, exactly, yes. This is an ESP32. So the great thing about ESP32 is a microcontroller which has existed for like 6 years or something, and they're so resilient and they're so well used. They're everywhere. Like if you have like an IoT light bulb and you smash it open, there's probably an ESP32 in there. So when the apocalypse comes and it's like Mad Max and everyone's using Bitcoin, we can go find IoT devices and turn them all into hardware wallets, which I'm quite looking forward to in a way. All right, so let's install this hardware wallet. I'm going to erase the device. So it's going to erase the memory, and then it's just going to push the binary for the hardware wallet to the device. We will have like some sort of checksum feature or something at some point, so you can check the release hash with the thing which gets pushed, but we haven't got that yet. So this is probably the most sketchy way you can build your own hardware wallet right now. Although, in its favor, for a $10 device, there is no supply chain attack. Like, you know, these companies which make hardware wallets, they do an amazing job like Trezor and Coldcard. They work really hard, of course, to separate manufacturing and supply chain. So the different factories which are doing different bits, which then gets assembled into the finished product, that they don't know necessarily they're making hardware wallets. But at some point, someone is putting a hardware wallet inside a box. And they know that people are going to be putting money on that hardware wallet. So that's a supply chain attack. And in fact, I go and buy it from a company, and you know, my records are stored like we see with the Ledger stuff. Whereas this is just a generic device bought on AliExpress. And there's no supply chain attack there, which is kind of cool. If you want, you can, you can buy this hardware from AliExpress, or you can buy it from Amazon. But we also have a shop where we sell this stuff, but you shouldn't buy it from us, of course, because we are a supply chain attack then, aren't you? You're taking the main feature of this hardware wallet, and then you're getting rid of it from buying it from us. But if you want to support the project and play around with this stuff, then you can go buy it from our shop. I think it's like $20, and it comes with a nice little 3D printed case. All the cases and all the info about how you make this thing, it's all in the repo. And the STLs are in there as well somewhere, I think. Yeah, enclosure, there we go. But yeah, so don't buy it from us, buy it from Amazon or AliExpress. But yeah, it's a nice little project. How's our installer doing? Here we go, we're installed, we're complete. So what have we got in here? Oh, unknown command. So there's a random little byte which is sent from the browser, which then confuses the hardware wallet. So what I have to do is just unplug it, plug it back in again. Okay, so we have this countdown. So when you're using the USB mode, just as like an extra security feature, you've got like 10 seconds to connect it to the on-chain wallet extension, which we're going to be using, which I've lost. Where is it? Here it is. No. Where am I? so confused. Oh, am I in Chrome? I am in Chrome. Here we go. So if I copy this, and actually, I mean, I'm just running this LNBITS locally on my computer right now. I'm not on the internet or anything, and there's still like a whole bunch of functionality you can do. So it's kind of cool in a way. What are we going to do? All right, yeah, so we're going to connect our hardware wallet to this extension, and then we're going to get it to generate a new set of Bitcoin keys, and then we're going to pass across the PSBT so we can actually generate an on-chain address. So I need to unplug it, plug it in again because I've got 10 seconds. And then I click on this little thing here. Have I got already? Okay, there we go. It shows a little, because all the data going down the wire, in case there's a middleman attack, is encrypted. So you can see that it's got the same pin as we have here. So we can check that to make sure it's communicating properly. And then once we're in, you can restore. Actually, this is kind of useful. You know, if you have like a random seed, which you might think might have some dust on, and you want to restore it, but it may have like a bigger quantity of Bitcoin on. I don't know. Like it's kind of useful just for using as a way of just like restoring our wallets or something. But you can enter a seed phrase there and password and things, and then you can restore from that. However, we're not going to do that. We're not going to help. We're going to wipe. I'm going to put in a password. QWERTY UI. There we go. Click wipe, and then boom. There we are. We've got a new on-chain wallet on the hardware. Now, obviously, it's always better to do your own entropy with dice or whatever, and then use that rather than the entropy here, which you can do through the UI. But one of the good things about ESP32s is they do have like hardware RNG, and like I haven't like done a research project on exactly how good the entropy is on it, but it is hardware RNG. So, you know, again, I think it's okay for smaller amounts of funds, but we need to research exactly how secure how random it is. Right, so now we've done that, I can log in. QWERTY UI. Okay, so I'm in. Actually, picking green is kind of the wrong color, isn't it? Here we go. Right, so you can see it's connected. Now I'm going to go to add hardware wallet. Now we can make a new account just from a PSBT, but we're going to make it from the hardware device. I'm going to make a SegWit wallet. Call it SegWit. You can change all this stuff here. What I really like about this UI is you can do quite complex like Bitcoin stuff, but it's not, you know, you can also just use it in the simplest way. So now if we click on new on-chain address, new receive address, it'll pop up on there and it'll pop up here. And this is where, you know, a different extension could make use of this. So maybe the POS extension, this probably makes sense to do at some point. You could add on-chain support so someone could pay on-chain. And then, yeah, you could check mempool.space or something. But yeah, so we could add that to the point of sale. It'd be pretty cool, actually. So we could just keep creating addresses, etc. And then we can scan the blockchain, so it'll scan through and see if we've got any funds in there, which we haven't got, obviously. And then we can create payments, to on-chain address, amount in sats. But it makes it easy to do batching as well, which I like. You can just add as many addresses as you want. And then there's some extra advanced features here, so you can change the fee. And then you can do coin selection, so you can actually select your UTXOs. And then you can also change the change address if you want to as well. So it's pretty feature-rich and fairly simple, like my cafe guy knows can use it. Because Pavel from Trezor, he put in some amazing PRs. He's really helped us, actually, with the project. We were like, right, we need to support Trezor. So we do actually support Trezor as well. So you can, like, you know, manage your Trezor from the extension. So my cafe dude could do that as well. And actually, for anyone who is ever in Wales, there's a little village called Mumbles, which is the cafe where all this stuff is running. That's where it is. It's called Mumbles Coffee. It's got the best coffee in the world. Go there and pay in Bitcoin for some coffee. I always forget to mention the name of the cafe. Yeah, so loads of extensions. They can all talk to each other. You can use it programmatically, like a lot of projects do, like LNTips. In fact, the arcade game in there, I walked past him. It's like a snake game. And he said, oh, I built this on top of LNBITS. This often happens when we go to a conference. A load of people come up to us and say, oh, we built this on LNBITS, we built that on LNBITS. It actually happened in El Salvador when LNBITS was a piece of shit. And Ibex came up to me and was like, yeah, we built our shit on LNBITS. And I was like, no, please no. But they're pretty good, so their DevOps guy, they had like 5 different machines like waking up the LNBITS install when it would crash. So yeah, so we have hardware, we have software. The other couple of the other hardware projects, I'm probably running out of time. Am I running out of time? Yeah, okay, I've run out of time. A couple of the other hardware projects, which I'll quickly give a shout out to. Oh yeah, if you want to play around with LNBITS, go to lnbits.com. It can point you at the GitHub. You can launch the SaaS, and then you can access the demo server, although the SaaS and demo server isn't working for the first time in about a year, just for my, my workshop here. We also have we have the hardware wallet. You can also use this as a Nostar signing device. So we've got another project where you can turn this into a Nostar signing device, which I would demo, but I've run out of time. And you can, that was the first Nostar signing device which would work with multiple clients we made. And it was just, yeah, we just retrofitted it because this is the great thing about Nostar, it's using keys and, you know, Stefan just added the Schnorr stuff to his Bitcoin library and we were away, we could do it. We also have the POS, the offline POS. All that stuff is available if you go into our repo. You should be able to find it all. Yes, it's all available in the repos. And in fact, if you go to the shop, actually there's links here. So you've got the offline POS here. Obviously, you construct it yourself. It costs about $18 probably to make, or you can buy it off us for $30. This also works as a watch-only type wallet as well. You can give it a PSBT and it will generate addresses. And what else can you do? Oh, you can be an ATM, like a human ATM. So you can actually, even though it's offline, you can generate a fresh LNURL withdrawal, a bit like a bulk card. So you input an amount. First, you put a PIN in as a merchant. It's a completely optional feature, but first you put a PIN in, then it generates then you add an amount, and then it generates an LNURL withdrawal, and someone can take funds, which is nice because you can turn all the merchants into banks or OTC. Sorry, it's banks. They can sell OTC Bitcoin. In fact, that came out of El Salvador because I ran out of Bitcoin. I was spending all this Bitcoin in shops, and then I was like, I would totally buy the Bitcoin back off you, for a fee. For a percentage. So we have a great extension. Man, I've run out of time, haven't I? I need to stop talking. We have a great extension, which I really want to quickly show you, called LNURL Devices. And that does that stuff, the POS, the ATM, because it's the same ATM software we use for an actual physical ATM where you put coins in instead, as well as the skin bag ATM. To keep abreast of all this stuff, if you check out our YouTube, LNBITS on YouTube is pretty good. Check out the repo. We've got a Telegram group, LNBITS and Telegram. We like dumb questions. We like complicated questions. There's probably a bunch of people on here complaining right now about the demo server being down, but it is a demo server, so they shouldn't use it, so whatever. And then we have another group, actually, which I'm going to show, which is the MakerBits group. And it's got like 800 people on here. And this is such a nice group. Like, has anyone seen the BT, the clock, like the block clock project clone? That was developed on here, and it was cool to kind of see like this big clunky thing with all these e-paper screens and all these wires, which then turned into kind of a polished product. Like, we talk about all the hardware stuff on here as well. So MakerBits on Telegram, LNBITS on Telegram, and the repo, the YouTube channel, Twitter, I suppose, and we do have a Nostar account for LNBITS, but I don't know what we haven't got a NIP5, and it's time to finish. I'm going to walk off and just stop talking. Okay.